we should always take everything in a positive way and try to find out something positivity in every negative. There is no system by which we can actually assist the children. System of education where we concentrate on learning by doing, then the individualistic skills of the students.
Success is the sum of repeated efforts. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Seema Chhoriya, and I welcome you all to another insightful session on great principles. Joining me in my conversation is my very thoughtful educator of the day, Dr. Smita Shukla. She is principal of Brilliant Public School, Chhattisgarh. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am. We are very honored to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Seema. I'm also honored to be with you all.
And we are very excited to know more about you and about your journey and also what contributions we are here to make so that our education can become better. So, ma'am, let us begin a little about by knowing about you. What was your journey? What were your early days like? And what motivated you to join education domain? What keeps you going in here?
Frankly speaking, Seema, this education was never my first choice. My parents and I always wanted that I should become a doctor. But somehow, due to certain reasons, I could not make it to that. So then I opted, this was my second choice, but I'm very happy that I opted this as a career because now I am creating the doctors. So it is very nice of me to have this kind of profession. So later on, I chose this education. And in education also, I started my career as an assistant professor in the chemistry department in a university.
So when I was working in the university, I found a very large gap between what the students and the school are teaching, are learning, and what the students are actually getting in the college and later on when they go into their occupations. So that time something triggered in my mind that if I have this knowledge of university education also, so why don't I switch? Why don't I start with myself in helping the change? And that is why this is how I came to the school education, and I started working with the children in the of the lower classes and everything. And I started to make little bit changes from my side in bridging that gap.
Yeah, I think I completely connect with the gap that you're talking about because yes, when you step into the corporate world, you find it completely alien. You know, you don't know what is happening because what you have read practically that is not applicable. Maybe somewhere you must have read something, so that theoretical knowledge is of no use unless put to practical usage. So I'm sure with the thought process like this, the change is coming in, and from man is now shaping lives from the option she wanted earlier of saving lives. Anyway, she's impacted thousands of lives. So let's know a little more about you in a rapid fire round. So it's a
Yes.
fun, fast paced round. You have to answer me in one
Mm-hmm.
word or a sentence. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So here goes my very first question to you. What do you do in your recreational time? What are your hobbies?
Actually, I like to work for this education sector only. I want to be connected with the children somewhere. So that is why I have joined a lot of associations. Like I am the member of Innerweal Society Korba, which is working with a school called Divya Jyoti. It is a school of deaf and blind students. So when I'm not in my school, I go there. In that school, I work with the children. Then I'm also a member of Indian School Psychology Association. So there are a lot of work where we are working continuously to understand the basic psychology of the students, the parents, and everyone. Then I'm also into a research group. It is called Search and Research Association, which is working for helping the students to do the research work. Like the students who are doing the PhDs, they are not knowing how we should research, how to write the thesis and everything. So we are guiding them for that. So if I'm not working in the school, most of the times I'm working there. But if somehow after all these things I get time, so I cook a lot, and I like to play with the children. I just love children, and I want to spend as much as time as I can with the children.
Great. It's great to know that apart from doing all these things, you're also ensuring that you're spending time with children because that is the best way to know a child by spending time with them, which wherein most of us fall short of. So moving ahead to
Yes,
my next
indeed.
question, as you mentioned that you like to cook, is there any tiffin tip that you would like to give to our dear parents?
Actually, the parents, because of scarcity of time or something, they number one, they either go for this junk food habit. And since, like in our school, we do not allow the students to have any junk food, they have to bring the healthy food. Then what happens? The parents send same tiffin daily, and because of that, the student does not want to eat the lunch. So I just request all the mothers, all the people who are looking into that, just send something different, send something healthy, so that there is always an excitement to open the lunch and eat it.
So do you think that some kind of model menu from school would help parents to ensure the healthy habits for children? Because I remember when my kids were in their toddlers in the preschools, the school had sent us a beautiful, wonderful menu that out of 7 options, choose anyone and give that. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yes, actually, we also do that. We did it for first 2 years, but since here it was not a very good success, and most of the parents were not ready to send the tiffins according to that. So yes, we have given them the options. We have not bounded them that on Monday you have to send this or Tuesday you have to send this. But what the parents do, they choose 2 or 3 items from that and they send that tiffin daily. So we have this, but it is not actually 100% we are not using that. But it is a very good idea. The schools who can opt for it, it is a very good chance of uh, including the healthy food and with the taste and with the variety for the children.
All right, wonderful. Great to know your thoughts, ma'am. Moving ahead to my next question. So, who would be the three people, those whom you would like to invite to your place, cook food for them, and sit with them and have it?
Three people that I would like to, I am not going to go after any kind of chef. I will first call my father because he is a very good chef. And then I would like to call a few mothers and we will sit together, we will cook together, we will chat with the parents, the mothers, as well as the children, and then we can have a ball. So I want people who are somewhat the people who can relate to the students, who can relate to my children, and who can relate to my school. They should come to my school, and then my students will feel comfortable.
Absolutely. So do you think that these days, actually, parents are very much not, I will not say involved, they're actually interfering in how the school functions. Do you agree to it?
To some extent, I agree to it. I understand the reason also. The reason is the corona period, the online sessions, because as I always say, we were in their houses and they were in our schools. So that is why that interaction, the gap has been demolished. And because of that, the parents now feel that they have this priority, the liberty to speak about each and everything. But ultimately, everything has the pros and cons. With the parents only, with the association with the parents only, we can understand the children, their temperament, their likes and dislikes better. So we should always take everything in a positive way and try to find out something positivity in every negativity.
Absolutely. Very well said. Moving ahead to my next question. What is one thing about you that many people would not know?
People actually know me because I live my life as an open book. So everybody know everything about me. But to some extent, I will say that I like to, since I don't get vacations, but I really like to see the places, new places, especially the historical monuments and everything. And the people I think don't know that I have this fondness for traveling also because I never get time for this traveling.
All right. Moving ahead to my next question. If you were given an opportunity to change one thing in the current education system, what would you change?
It will be definitely the system of assessment because the system that we are following in the schools, the system that NEP is now providing us of interdisciplinary things and everything, ultimately everything fails when we are working in the traditional system of assessment. If we want to do it in the multidisciplinary approach, in the art integrated approach, but there is no system by which we can actually assess the children where the marks is given on the basis of or on the weightage of these kind of things. So yes, that system needs to actually want to change the overall scenario of education.
I think that is very much needed because when you talk about that every child learned differently and you assess them on the similar scale, that is unfair. So moving ahead to my
Yeah.
next question, do you think that your school is doing something which other schools can replicate? A practice that you think is benefiting students at large?
Yes, definitely. I will not say that my school is doing something which none of the schools in India are doing. But we in Korba have established a system of education where we concentrate on learning by doing. Then the individualistic skills of the students, we are working continuously into that. We are working on the hobbies and the likings and dislikings of the students. We have somewhat made a syllabus, not completely, because ultimately we have to go with the pattern of the examinations and everything. But to certain level, we have imbibed these things, which are very necessary for the students, where the students' likings and dislikings, their hobbies, what they want to become in future. These things we have integrated in the curriculum, and plus the NEP, which saying the multidisciplinary approach, the practical approach, the critical thinking approach. All these things we are doing since 2017. So I'm very proud of that, and I really want that the schools should also try to do these things so that they can be a little different with what can be made.
Certainly, this kind of approach is definitely going to help student for a longer run because it will help them when they go into universities, when they are aware of how things function practically and theoretically both. So this was all about rapid fire round. Now we have reached the last question of the show, which is also called the expert talk question. So since we were talking a lot about NEP and how there is a gap between the school education and the university education, and then when and you enter into the job market. So tell me, ma'am, what is this multidisciplinary approach all about? What are the advantages and disadvantages? When I look back at our times when we were student, I think we are not that bad. Today, you leave us anywhere and we can cope up. So, what about these kids? Are we just overthinking and overpouring a lot of thoughts and asking them to do this also, do that also? What is your thought on this?
See, actually, Seema, I think you will agree with me कि the students, the children of our generation and the children of this generation are very much different. They are much more technologically advanced. They are much more open to the new thoughts. They are much more intelligent, I would say, if I can describe them in one word. They are much more intelligent as what we were there. We were in our child age. So this multidisciplinary approach, it is not like putting or throwing things on the students or children. Ki you have to do this also, you have to do that also. What happens ki whenever in the theoretical background, if we study anything, for example, if we are learning math, so we should have the knowledge of the practical application of math. Like if we are working with science, so science should be integrated somewhere with the language also, with the history also. So these things, the NEP, what NEP is saying, ki you do not teach because otherwise it becomes monotonous. And if the student, if suppose if somebody says ki you have to do this, and until and unless we are not knowing why we have to do this, how, what is the practical use of this, we would not be interested. So the same thinking lies with the students also. If we will tell the students ki yes, this is the subject, this is how it is integrated to your practical life, this is how it is integrated to the other subjects also, this is how you are going to use it in your actual life. It will be a fun for them. It will be, the learning will become fun. They will be more approachable towards the subject also, towards the learning outcomes also. So this multidisciplinary approach is all about mixing and mingling different subjects. Like if I can state you one example with this project we usually go give in our school. Ki, for example, they have to study a monument, or if they have to study a historical place. This we give in basically primarily in the social studies. And how we club it with the other subjects is like, you have to study the chemistry of the monument, you have to study the biology of the monument, and then you have to present a presentation. So with the chemistry, what they do, they learn about the rocks, the materials that were used, what kind of, what is the effect of the environmental change. For example, if you take the example of Taj Mahal, it is becoming pale. So why it is becoming pale? What are the effects of the environment? Biology, we connect it with the natural vegetation. See, what is the natural vegetation which surrounds that historical place, or which surrounds that particular city, or whatever. So these kind of things, and with the presentation, they connect it with the ICT, the computers, the language. They get the command over the vocabulary and all these things. So by these things, by simple projects, we can integrate many subjects together, and it becomes a fun for the students. And like this, they understand many subjects. They get to know many subjects, and it becomes interesting also. So these kind of things can be done more in the schools.
Absolutely, ma'am. I think I agree with you on the front of the lot of pros of multidisciplinary art integrated approach. But let us, just throw some light also on the cons. So, talking about how interesting everything would become, won't a child get distracted a lot? Won't he feel lost? What about if he ends up being the jack of all and master of none? So, what are your thoughts on these?
Seema, this approach, that multidisciplinary approach that NEP is giving us, it is more in the early ages. Like up to grade 8, they are focusing on this very much. And at that time, student is actually exploring. The student should get many options. Why there is only two fields? Ki either later on you have to take maths, or you have to take only science, or you have to go in the arts or commerce. Why can't he study literature with science? Why can't he study some the what we say, the work oriented subjects, like say this traditional thing, the traditional art, the pottery making? Why can't he or she? Because if suppose he will not get success, like as I said, I wanted to become a doctor. I couldn't become a doctor, so I chose teaching as a profession. It was a very safe profession for females. But why can't, if I wanted to become a doctor, and I believe that I had some artistry skills also in me, but it was never shaped up. So why our child cannot opt to become a painter? Okay, my first priority is becoming a doctor, and ultimately these things, these are actually stress busting things. These things, somehow we have a lot of stress, we have a lot of pressures nowadays. Of living life itself is a pressure, is a big pressure. So if these kind of things the students are involved into, this is somewhat releasing that pressure kind of thing. So he or she can go into that. He will always have a second option. So I don't think this multidisciplinary approach is the one thing which I believe is the demerit of this whole concept is, number one is the time frame that we have to complete the curriculum. We have to have this syllabus in that 11 months, and with that syllabus integrating these things, actually it become little difficult for the teachers. And the second demerit is we do not have that much trained teachers. So a rigorous training, a continuous training of the teachers is required if we actually want to achieve this kind of education system in India.
Wow, you nailed it. Actually, you brought all the, you
Thank you
know,
so much.
yeah, you brought all the sides of multidisciplinary approach. What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? What are the things we are failing at? As you are very rightly said, that time is the biggest problem. Then integrating all the things. Do we have such smart teachers? Do we have trained teachers over there? So these are the practical problems, and I really love the point where you very clearly mentioned that we are educating the children only up till formative years, because once you are exposed to all kind of subjects, then only you realize where your interest lies. And as you rightly said, when life throws you somewhere else, you know what you have to pick if you know earlier what was the forming stones. So very nicely explained, and I think I'm sure my viewers must have understood what multidisciplinary approach is all about. Ma'am has very beautifully explained it with example. So to end this session, I think I today have just one word, one sentence with me. You know that our brain has a capacity which is virtually limitless, and this is what makes every human a potential genius. And by the way, ma'am has explained us all the different kind of strategies that she's following in her schools, the different approaches that needs to be done. I'm sure we would be able to unveil the geniuses in every child. So wonderful conversation, Dr. Smita. We completely enjoyed, and a lot of insights we got today. Thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you for having me.